All right, so this week we continue our journey on the road to significance that we've been on now for, quite a few months. And I talked on the Great Quotes for Coaches podcast this past Monday about three different quotes that deal with the concept of significance. And I've been doing, as you know, those of you who've been following me for a while now, whether it's in this video medium or in the podcast medium, or if you've been following my blog posts, I've been really zeroed in on various quotes dealing with significance over the course of the last few weeks. And actually, I guess I'd say over all these months since I was talking about the book Change Your World by John Maxwell and Rob Hoskins. And so I took a lot of ideas out of there and certainly a lot of quotes out of there. But the last few weeks have been really zeroed in on, actually now it's probably a month and a half, maybe even pushing 2 months. Boy, time flies, doesn't it? But I've been really zeroed in on significance and quotes that deal with it. Well, today is no exception. And I want to talk about these quotes with you because I think that they help us get at the heart of the concept of significance. Last week, the last 2 weeks, talking about the whole concept of making a difference in others' lives. And that's really where if we zero in on and focus our attention there, that is our chance to become a person of significance in others' lives. And of course, most of my audience will be coaches. So I certainly am talking about being a coach of significance in kids' lives. But again, any leadership realm that you are in, how you lead your teams, how you lead the people whom you lead. In fact, even as a parent, that's gonna come into play, is going to determine the level of significance that the people you lead feel from you. So here's the three quotes. I'll take each one separately. The first one is by John Ortberg. He's a pastor, a Christian author. And he said, significance is about who we are before it is about what we do. And I've always loved that concept, not necessarily even with significance, but that concept of who we are as opposed to what we do. When somebody asks you, so what are you, right? Your first thought goes to your profession. So I'm a teacher, I'm a coach, right? That's how I have answered that. I'm a speaker, I'm a writer. It just depends. I've mentioned it before. I'm what somebody, I can't remember the book, but she called people like me multi-hyphenates or multi-potentialites. Okay, and the idea being, a hyphen. I'm a speaker, writer, or teacher, coach, I'm all of these things, right? So it's hard to pinpoint exactly what I am based on profession. Many of you, it's pretty simple because you have a specific job you do. But I imagine many of you also coach, you also are parents, and so you start to say, okay, there's a lot of things that I am. And so it's not only about what we do. I think that's a really important point, not even talking about significance, but that we always consider who are we before we consider what we do. And don't limit ourselves to saying who we are is based on what we do. And so for significance, though, I love this idea. It is much more about who we are, okay? Or at least it's about who we are before it's what we do. So I'm a teacher and a coach. I'm a speaker and a writer. Those are the big four for me. Athletic director used to be one of those, but I'm not doing that anymore. But those four really cover what I do, but they also are who I am, right? They've become a big part of who I am. But who I am in those roles starts with who I am as a person. And so the concept of significance, this is how I see this quote anyway. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Scroll down and leave a comment. Significance is about who we are before it's about what we do. Your ability to impact others, make a difference in others' lives, be a person of significance in others' lives is going to start first and foremost with who you are, much more than what you do. Now think about me, okay? Boy, that sounded narcissistic. But think about somebody like me or somebody like many of you as coaches, as teachers. What we do is how we will get to others and make a difference in their lives and be a person of significance, right? But who we are is what sets that foundation for how that happens. And so I can be a teacher or a coach who is around kids every day, well, most days of the year, whatever it is, 187, whatever your school district, demands of you, plus coaching. I can be around those kids all that time, but the significance that they will feel from me is going to come from something far bigger than just, well, he's a teacher or he's a coach. It's going to come from who I am in that role as their teacher and their coach. And so the emphasis that I place on being the best I can be at making an impact in their lives, a positive impact in their lives, making a difference in their lives, that's what's going to determine my significance. And so, sure, what I do plays a key role in that happening. But who I am, that's where it all starts. So I love that quote by John Ortberg. The second quote I talked about, and maybe you'll see, I'm even as I think back, struggling to see why did I connect these quotes? But I think I'll have it for you here as I go back through it. Is by Gary Zukav. Whoops! I lost my signal with the quote, so I'm gonna have to pull that up here. Hang on one second. Okay, gotta get that pulled up, and there we go. Sorry about that. I don't know if I'll be able to edit that out. I'm not very good with the editing, but anyway, the screen went black and I've got it on two monitors. So anyway, Gary Zukav, he's an American spiritual teacher and author is what, I didn't go into much detail reading about him. Actually, either of the first two guys. But I love his quote, and his quote says this: "Your impact on the world is significant, whether or not you are aware of it, and even whether or not you desire it." So let's talk about the quote, and then we'll see if we can see a correlation here. Your impact on the world is significant. You're going to have an impact in some way. We all do. Everybody does. The question becomes, what impact will that be? Okay? It'll have some kind of significance. And I've said this, for years about coaches and teachers. We all have impacts on our kids, right? You're going to have impacts. It's just a matter of, is it going to be a positive impact? Is it going to be something they're focused on as, oh, I am so glad this person was in my life because of what he or she did to help me get where I was wanting to go, or whatever it might be. You are going to have maybe that kind of an impact, or an impact where it's like, gosh, I hope I never have to deal with someone like that again. Or, well, that was okay, but I didn't really get much out of that. There's going to be some kind of an impact. So that's the first part of this, okay? Whether or not you're aware of it, you're going to have an impact, and it's going to be somehow significant. Whether it's positive or negative, in many ways is up to you in how you treat the people who you're having the impact on. So again, we all have some kind of impact. Gosh, there was when I was a kid, my dad owned a bookstore, combination bookstore, pipe and tobacco shop. And I remember getting him for a birthday or Christmas or something, a sign that put up in the store. It said, "All of our customers make us happy, some by coming and some by going," or something like that, And so you're having an impact. You're making them happy. It's just, are you doing that because of the positive things that you brought to them, or are you making them happy every time you leave? That's a concept of significance. So whether or not we're aware of it, it's happening. But here's the other part, and this is so important for us as coaches and teachers, and even whether or not we desire it. I talked in the podcast episode the other day about, I think a lot of coaches, probably most coaches, start coaching because they played the games that they coached. They loved the games and they want to stay involved in the games. And so the way to stay involved when you can no longer play the game is to coach it. You could officiate, be an official, another great way to do it, but many choose to coach. And I think that's a reason why a lot of coaches ever start coaching. Yes, some wanted to be a coach all along. They just knew it, going through, or they had this experience. And while they're having this experience, they're like, I would really like to coach. Sure. But I think others just do it because they want to stay involved in the sport. And in their minds, coaching will be a lot like playing. And once you start coaching, you start to realize it is so different. It is not about what you do in terms of your physical skills. That's not what coaching's about. Yes, part of it is about that, but the main part of it is not about that. It's about so much more. And so you're going to have this impact, right? Well, even whether or not you desire it, some people, they just want to get out and whatever their sport is, get the balls out and show all the skills and try and teach players to be good players and win a lot of games and win championships. And that's their whole focus. And they never think through, well, what is my impact going to be on these kids? How am I going to be a person of significance in their lives? They just focus on the game and the sport itself. And if they never get past that and into this concept of, gosh, I'm here to do so much more than just bring the balls out, if it's a sport with balls, or get the stopwatch out and get them on the track and start timing them and start yelling at them and all that. If I never get past that to, I'm here to help them have a great experience doing this, the kind of experience that I loved, and then I'm here to help them learn some lessons from this to take them on into life. And of course, I'm here to help win games and win championships, sure. But how are we going to do that? How do I plan that out too? And how do I combine that with, gosh, at the same time as we're creating a winning program, we're also creating a winning culture, and we're also creating a culture that gets kids to want to be here and keep joining us because they're enjoying the experience so much and because they're learning so many things. If they never get to that point, it's going to be really hard to be a coach of significance in kids' lives. And so whether they know it or not, and even whether they desire it or not, they're going to have an impact. Hopefully, though, they get intentional. This is about intentionality. They get intentional about the impact that they want to have and the significance that they want to create for their kids. And the same goes for those of you who don't coach with any team that you're leading, a work team or a family or whatever. So whether you want it or not, it's part of your responsibility, and that's a huge element. And so figure out the best way to create significance in your kids' lives and then go for it and do it. The final quote. So I think, can you see because that deals with about who we are more than what we do. That's why I put those two together. The final quote, Pablo Casals, the cellist, he was a composer, a conductor. He said, now this one, I thought came at it from a different, kind of perspective. So watch. He says, I feel the capacity to care is the thing which gives life its deepest significance. So everything else I've talked about is the significance that we can have in others' lives, right? That's what I've been on, the journey and the mission I've been on for now 3 or 4 months after reading that Maxwell book and deciding I have to create my Slam Dunk Significance program that I've talked about, right? Go to slamdunksignificance.com if you haven't checked it out yet. Everything we are doing, like in that program, is designed to create a great experience for kids. And that's what I've looked at my role as a coach, my purpose as a coach, my philosophy has been, we're here to provide kids the opportunity to have a positive athletic experience. That's what it's all about, right? So everything that I'm talking about is for others. And that's what all of these quotes have been about, for others. But this one's talking about us feeling significance, right? I'm telling you to do what you can to be a person of significance in others' lives. Well, you yourself are going to have significance elements that either others are going to put into you or you're going to create for yourself. But here's why I chose this, because this is what I'm getting at. That's such a key for us in dealing with our kids. the capacity to care. So our capacity to care gives us significance, is what Pablo Casals is saying. But when we focus on doing that for our kids or for the people in your company or whatever realm you're in, you're going to also give them significance and be a person of significance in their lives. So I think this is that's why I wanted to do this one, because I think it rolled really well into, if you don't know it and you don't even desire it, how are you going to be a person of significance? You are, but let's make sure we are focused on being a person of significance. The best way to do that is to care about your people and show how much you care about them. Show them that. The famous line, and I think it was a Maxwell quote, but I think he got it from Teddy Roosevelt. I can't remember where. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. I've always loved that line ever since I first heard it, probably 25, 30 years ago. But it's so true. And that's right here with what Pablo Casals is saying. That's how we feel significance, our capacity to care. Well, we can spread that capacity to care and feel significance ourselves and give significance to others, help others, get that feeling of significance too. So love that. This one went a little longer than usual, covering 3 quotes, but love that idea. And I think, do you see how they all kind of come together? I'd love to hear your ideas on this and all of the messages that we've had over these months about significance. So scroll down, leave a comment. Let me know what you think of this. We're going to continue this concept of significance for at least a couple more weeks, and we'll see where we go from there. But come back next week and we'll see what we have for you. All right? We'll talk to you then.